It is imperative that nurse educators know and understand their nurse practice acts. If nurse educators do not have an accurate, up-to-date knowledge of the Nurse Practice Act's NPAs, then we cannot expect our students to understand them and to be able to apply these as nurse graduates, as NCLEX test takers, and as new practicing nurses. And if that's the case, then we've done our students a grave injustice. I'm really shocked at how many times I've taught about nurse practice acts, both within the curriculum and to graduated students who are ready to sit for the NCLEX, and they do not have a good understanding of their nurse practice acts, or maybe they just have a vague recollection of them being covered maybe at the beginning of the curriculum. So this is going to be the standard, of course, by which they maintain their licensure, in which they will be held legally responsible for the entire time they hold licensure. So all nurse practice acts, no matter which state they're in, do guide education program standards, the standards and scope of nursing practice, the types and titles of licensures, requirements for licensure and maintaining licensure, grounds for disciplinary action and violations, and they have the authority, power, and composition of a board of nursing. So let's take a look at these. Now I've already pulled up a few. I pulled up South Dakota, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania. South Dakota and Minnesota because a lot of our students are there, and Pennsylvania because I'm there. So all you have to do is type in to a search the state, and then Board of Nursing, and then NPA, and it should very quickly come up with the Nurse Practice Act. Now, you might think, well, gee, I've been practicing for a long time. I think I know what's in there. But thinking that you know isn't enough. We have to make sure that we actually know, because these things change, and many times practicing nurses do not know. In fact, they've never even looked at their NPA, which is really unacceptable, since this is what we govern by. So if we have students who are already in the medical field, then they come in with preconceived notions. And in fact, we all do if we've been practicing for a while. If they've been a certified nursing assistant or EMT, if they're an LPN, then they may think they know what's in the Nurse Practice Act, but many times they don't. They don't actually know, because they're basing their whole understanding off of where they have worked. And if you take them to a different facility, and you've probably heard this if you're a clinical instructor, they'll say, well, that's not how we do it where I work. Well, guess what? It's going to be different not only from unit to unit within an organization, it'll be different from hospital to hospital, and it will definitely be different from state to state. And so since National Council does not know where these nurses are going to practice, in fact, students might think they know where they're going to practice, and then life happens. They might move. We need to have them look up their state board of nursing and wherever they're going to look at. So just take a look through here and make sure that you earmark these, put them in your favorites, and have a good understanding. And let's make sure that we discuss this throughout the whole curriculum, and we need to do a better job of tying in that clinical component into the classroom. So we can't just allow this to be on the clinical instructors as far as looking at the Nurse Practice Acts.